You're trying to sit outside, perhaps on the porch swing or beside your garden, enjoying the gentle breeze of a summer evening. The air is warm, the scent of honeysuckle is sweet, but then the buzzing starts. Soon your skin is itching, and what was meant to be peaceful turns into a constant battle against tiny, unseen enemies. You've probably tried costly sprays or even hired someone to fog your yard, but the worry lingers. What are you breathing in, or what drifts onto your garden? This fight for comfort feels like a modern problem, but my father always said, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And when it comes to mosquitoes, preventing them from hatching is the peaceful way to have your summer back. Today, I want to show you a simple, tried-and-true method for stopping mosquitoes before they ever grow wings without using harsh chemicals. The answer lies in something called Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis, or BTI, applied in simple water traps. BTI is a naturally occurring bacterium that targets mosquito larvae in standing water, stopping them dead in their tracks. It's a safe powder you add to water, and it works by disrupting the larva's digestive system, killing them within a day or two before they can become biting adults. This method is recommended by University Extension Services and registered by the Environmental Protection Agency. It targets future biters without harming your family, your pets, your garden, or beneficial insects like bees and butterflies. It can save you money and truly help you reclaim your summer evenings from those itchy bites. Now, it's important to understand right from the start that BTI doesn't kill adult mosquitoes already flying around. It's a preventative measure meant to break the breeding cycle. Think of it as shutting down the mosquito factory before they build the flying machines. If you're looking for immediate relief from a swarm of adult biters, BTI won't do that. Its true power lies in quietly, consistently, and safely preventing the next generation of biters from ever emerging. It's a bit of patience for a lot of peace. Many folks wonder about this method, and I often hear questions like, what specific type of water sources should I treat, and which ones should I simply empty? Or, how often do I need to tend these traps to keep them effective throughout the season? And perhaps most important, how can I truly know if this quiet approach is working to reduce mosquitoes in my own yard? We'll answer all these practical questions as we go, helping you find the peace you're looking for. I remember one summer when I was a young boy, maybe 6 or 7 years old, back in 1950. It was an uncommonly wet spring, and the old horse trough behind our barn was always full to the brim. The water would warm up in the sun, and by evening it teemed with tiny wrigglers. You could hear the constant high-pitched whine of mosquitoes, and the air felt heavy and damp. My father, tired of the constant annoyance, would sometimes try to scoop those wrigglers out with a tin dipper, but it was like dipping water from the creek. For every one he removed, a dozen more seemed to appear. He'd shake his head, wiping sweat from his brow, saying, "Isaac, you can't just chase the problem when it's already upon you. You have to stop it where it starts by minding the water." That simple observation, the link between standing water and those relentless biters, etched itself deep in my mind. Now, what my father understood through careful observation, modern science has explained and refined into a practical solution. The principle he spoke of, interrupting the mosquito life cycle at its watery beginning, is exactly what the Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis BTI method accomplishes. This isn't just a memory or a hopeful notion. It's a solution verified by those who study insects and public health. University extension services across the country, like those in Missouri and Illinois, widely recommend BTI as an effective and environmentally sound approach to mosquito control. The Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, has registered BTI as an insecticide since 1983, a testament to its proven efficacy and safety. These authorities confirm that BTI is a naturally occurring bacterium found in soils. Its remarkable quality is that it produces protein crystals that are toxic only to the larvae of mosquitoes, black flies, and fungus gnats. This specificity is key. It means BTI targets the problem without harming humans, pets, birds, fish, or beneficial insects like honeybees. When used as directed, it's even approved for use in organic farming operations. What the evidence makes clear is that BTI is not a broad-spectrum chemical that harms everything it touches. It is a precise biological tool. It doesn't instantly vaporize mosquitoes in a puff of smoke. Instead, it works quietly and effectively in the water where they begin their lives. It's a patient solution for a persistent problem. Let's talk plainly about how BTI works its quiet magic, for it truly is a marvel of nature. BTI is not a chemical poison in the way most folks think of it. Instead, it's a living bacterium, a tiny helper found right in the soil. When this bacterium matures, it creates microscopic protein crystals. These crystals, along with its spores, are the active ingredients that do the work. When mosquito larvae, those wrigglers my father spoke of, are swimming in water treated with BTI, they feed on these tiny particles. Now, here's the crucial part. Mosquito larvae have a very unique digestive system. Their midgut is highly alkaline, a specific environment that acts like a key, unlocking the BTI's power. Once ingested, these protein crystals dissolve in that alkaline gut and release their toxins. These toxins then bind to the gut lining, forming tiny pores, which quickly stops the larvae from being able to digest any food. The larvae effectively starve and die, usually within 24 to 48 hours, long before they can develop into adult biting mosquitoes. The reason BTI is so gentle and safe for us, our pets, fish, birds, and beneficial insects like dragonflies and honeybees, is that these creatures have acidic digestive systems or simply lack the specific gut receptors that the BTI toxins target. This makes BTI incredibly precise, a gentle hand that sorts out just the mosquitoes. This mechanism also helps us understand why BTI is different from other mosquito control methods. Chemical fogs and sprays that pest control services often use are adulticides. They aim to kill flying adult mosquitoes on contact. While they can offer quick, temporary relief, they are broad spectrum, meaning they can harm non-target insects, including pollinators, and leave chemical residues. These services can cost anywhere from $70 to over $200 per visit. BTI, on the other hand, is a larvicide. It works quietly in the water, at the source, preventing the problem from ever flying into your yard, and it's generally a more budget-friendly approach. So, where does BTI fit best? It's ideal for almost any standing water on your property that cannot be easily drained or removed. Think about bird baths, rain barrels, old tires, neglected swimming pools, clogged roof gutters, decorative ponds, tree holes that collect water, tarps over firewood piles, or even the saucers beneath potted plants. These are perfect breeding grounds that BTI can render harmless. Where it's a poor fit is in rapidly flowing streams or very large natural lakes where the BTI can't stay concentrated enough to be effective. It also won't address an immediate swarm of adult mosquitoes you already have, as it doesn't kill them directly. For those, other methods like repellents or simply staying indoors during peak activity times might be needed in the short term. For materials, you'll want to find BTI products, commonly sold as Mosquito Dunks, which are donut-shaped briquettes, or Mosquito Bits, which are smaller granules. These are readily available at most hardware stores, garden centers, and online. For making traps, you'll need some 5-gallon buckets, some dried straw or hay, and plain water. Optionally, a piece of chicken wire or mesh and a sturdy stick can also be helpful additions. Now that we understand what BTI is and where it works best, let's walk through the simple steps to put this method into action on your property. The goal is to make your yard unwelcoming for mosquito larvae. First, before you set up any traps or add BTI, the most important step is to eliminate all unnecessary standing water you can. This is the foundation of any good mosquito control plan, truly. Walk around your property after a good rain or when you've done a lot of watering. Dump out any old buckets, unused flower pots, wheelbarrows, or anything else that has caught and held water. If you have tarps covering wood piles or boats, pull them taut so rainwater can't collect in sagging pockets. Clean out your roof gutters annually to ensure water flows freely away from the house. Even changing the water in bird baths and pet watering bowls at least once a week makes a difference. Remember, even a bottle cap full of standing water can be a breeding site for hundreds of mosquitoes, so be thorough in your search. Once you've removed all the water you possibly can, you'll focus on the standing water you cannot easily eliminate. This is also where you'll strategically create appealing water sources for mosquitoes to lay their eggs, knowing full well those eggs will never hatch into biting adults. Here's how to set up what many folks call a mosquito dunk bucket or a similar water trap. Take a few 5-gallon buckets. Dark-colored ones seem to draw mosquitoes in better, or so I've observed over the years. Place about 3 to 4 cups of dried straw or hay into each bucket. This organic material, once wet, will begin to break down, releasing subtle scents and carbon dioxide that mimic natural breeding sites and draw female mosquitoes right to them. Think of the ratio as roughly 1 part hay to 4 parts water. Next, fill each bucket about halfway with plain tap water. Allow the water and hay mixture to steep for about 2 to 3 days. This gives the organic material ample time to ferment and become even more attractive to those egg-laying mosquitoes looking for a home for their future brood. After this steeping time, introduce the BTI product into the water. If you're using Mosquito Dunks, which are the briquettes, a single dunk typically treats a considerable area, but for a standard 5-gallon bucket, you can often break one into quarters or halves and use just 1 piece per bucket. The dunk will float on the surface, slowly releasing the BTI into the water. If you're using Mosquito Bits, which are smaller granules, simply sprinkle the recommended amount from the product label onto the water surface. The bits tend to release their BTI more quickly, which can be helpful if you've already noticed a lot of larvae in the water. Now, for a couple of important considerations. If you have small children or curious pets who might explore, consider covering the bucket with a piece of metal mesh, like chicken wire, secured firmly around the rim. This allows mosquitoes to enter and lay eggs, but keeps larger creatures from accidentally falling in. Also, always place a sturdy stick or a rough piece of wood vertically in the bucket, extending from the bottom to above the waterline. This provides an escape ramp for any beneficial insects, like beetles or spiders, that might accidentally fall in, giving them a way out. Place your BTI buckets strategically around your yard. Shaded areas are often best, perhaps near dense vegetation or at the base of larger trees. These are the kinds of spots where adult mosquitoes seek out to lay eggs and rest during the day. Avoid placing them in direct, harsh sunlight, as this can cause the BTI to break down more quickly. Deploy multiple traps around your property, especially in different microclimates or near any known mosquito hotspots. For existing standing water sources that you can't simply drain, like an ornamental pond, a persistent puddle in the yard, or a rain barrel you rely on for garden water, BTI works wonderfully there too. If you have fish in your ornamental pond, they usually eat mosquito larvae already. But BTI is entirely safe for fish, so you can still add a mosquito dunk for extra layer of control, especially if the fish aren't keeping up with a large number of larvae. For rain barrels, simply drop a BTI dunk inside. The hole in the center of the dunk can even be used to tie a string to anchor it, preventing it from being flushed out if the barrel overflows. Do make sure the barrel is otherwise sealed to keep adult mosquitoes from entering and exiting freely. For hard-to-reach spots like clogged roof gutters or tree holes that collect water, mosquito bits are often easier to apply. You can simply sprinkle them directly into the water. If you only have dunks, you can break them into smaller pieces for these areas. Reapplication is crucial to keeping this method effective throughout the season. BTI products don't last forever. Mosquito dunks are formulated to release effective levels of BTI for about 30 days or sometimes even longer under typical environmental conditions. Mosquito bits, because they are smaller and release their active ingredient more quickly, often need to be reapplied every 7 to 10 days. After heavy rainfall, always check all your BTI-treated areas. If the water has been completely flushed out and refilled, or if the BTI product is no longer visible or floating, it's a good idea to replenish it. Mark your calendar or set a regular reminder to check and refresh your BTI treatments throughout mosquito season. Remember, always read and follow the specific directions and safety precautions on the label of the BTI product you are using. Avoid breathing the dust and direct contact with eyes or clothing, and always wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water after handling and before eating or drinking. While the BTI method is remarkably effective and safe, my friend, it's important to understand its limitations and what to realistically expect. No single solution is a silver bullet, and understanding these points will help you use BTI most effectively, truly finding that peace in your outdoor spaces. First, let's talk about how well BTI plays with everything else in your garden and home. One of the greatest advantages of BTI is its precise action, meaning it is safe for nearly all other life forms. If you have an ornamental pond stocked with fish, BTI is perfectly harmless to them. In fact, many pond fish naturally consume mosquito larvae, so BTI simply adds another layer of control without upsetting your aquatic ecosystem. Similarly, BTI can be used in animal watering troughs and bird baths. It poses no threat to your pets or the local wildlife that stop by for a drink. It's also safe for use around your vegetable garden, herbs, and flowering plants, and it won't contaminate your soil or water supplies when used according to label directions. This makes it an excellent choice for homesteads and those who cherish their organic gardens. Now, environmental conditions can affect how long BTI stays active. While mosquito dunks are generally effective for 30 days or even longer, very hot climates with intense sunlight can sometimes cause the BTI to break down more quickly than expected. Also, water sources with a lot of organic content, like a heavily leaf-laden gutter, might require a slightly increased dosage or more frequent checks to maintain effectiveness, as the BTI could be diluted or less available to the larvae. It's also important to remember that BTI only affects actively feeding larvae. So, if mosquito eggs have just hatched, or if larvae are already in the pupal stage, what folks sometimes call the tumbler stage, right before they become an adult, BTI won't affect them. Allow a minimum of 24 to 48 hours for the BTI to take full effect after application. Maintenance for your BTI treatments is simple, but necessary, like many good habits. Regularly check your water traps and other treated standing water. Ensure there's adequate water level and that the BTI product is still present, either floating or submerged. If water levels drop significantly, add more. And if the dunks have completely dissolved or been washed away, replace them as directed on the package. Keep the areas around your traps clear of excess debris that could create new, untreated breeding spots or block the BTI from doing its work. What are the signs that this method might not be working as intended? If you continue to see many live wrigglers swimming vigorously in your treated water sources after 48 hours, the BTI might have degraded, been flushed out by heavy rain, or your dosage might be too low for the specific conditions of that water. In such cases, it's a good idea to reapply the BTI. If, after consistent application over a few weeks, you still experience a high number of adult mosquito bites, it likely means there are other untreated breeding sources on your property or on neighboring lands. Mosquitoes can fly a fair distance, so even if your yard is perfectly clear, nearby untreated areas can still contribute to your problem. This brings us to a crucial point to remember. BTI does not kill adult mosquitoes. It is strictly a larvicide designed to prevent new generations of mosquitoes from emerging. If you're currently being swarmed by adult mosquitoes, BTI won't provide immediate relief from those existing biters. For that, you might need to use personal repellents, wear protective clothing, or retreat indoors during peak mosquito activity, which is usually around dawn and dusk. BTI is best understood as a long-term preventative strategy, part of an integrated approach to managing these pests. When should you consider calling for professional help? If you have a very large property with extensive complex drainage issues that you can't manage on your own, or if you've diligently applied BTI and eliminated all the obvious breeding sites but still face persistent, overwhelming mosquito problems, it might be time to call a professional pest control service. Look for services that emphasize integrated pest management, which combines source reduction, careful monitoring, and targeted treatments, rather than just blanket spraying. They can sometimes help identify overlooked breeding sites or unique species of mosquitoes that might need specialized approaches. Realistically, you can expect a noticeable reduction in adult mosquito populations after a few weeks of consistent BTI application. This is because you are interrupting the breeding cycle, stopping new generations from taking flight. It won't eliminate every single mosquito, especially if there are untreated areas nearby, but it will significantly reduce the numbers, making your outdoor spaces far more enjoyable It's about creating a harmonious balance in your environment, not eradicating every insect. Insight. Always remember to read and follow the specific directions and safety precautions on the label of the BTI product you're using, including avoiding breathing the dust and direct contact with eyes or clothing. Always wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water after handling. And unless the label explicitly permits it, do not use BTI products in finished drinking water. The true proof of this method, like so many simple old ways, is in the doing and the observing. To truly test if your BTI efforts are working, it's quite simple. Before you add BTI, take a moment to look closely into any standing water sources, your dunk buckets, bird baths, or rainwater puddles. You should see those tiny wrigglers moving in the water. After you've applied your BTI, wait 24 to 48 hours, as we talked about. Then observe again. The wrigglers should be gone or clearly no longer moving, appearing unhealthy. A good trick is to paint the inside bottom of your dunk buckets white or drop in a white yogurt lid. It makes those larvae much easier to spot. Of course, there are always things that can make it tricky. A heavy rain can flush out your BTI, requiring reapplication. Mosquitoes can fly in from your neighbor's untreated yard, or you might have simply overlooked a small container holding water somewhere on your own property. This isn't a set-it-and-forget-it solution forever, but a continuous, mindful practice like tending a garden. It's an act of stewardship over your small patch of creation. The satisfaction of this method isn't just in fewer bites, my friend, but in knowing you've solved a problem wisely, gently, and without unintended harm. It's the peaceful hum of an evening with just the crickets and cicadas, not the incessant whine of mosquitoes. It brings me back to my father's quiet wisdom, how he understood that true control comes from understanding the natural order and working with it. That's the feeling of reclaiming your evenings, your garden, and a bit of that old-fashioned peace. I invite you, my friends, to try this method and share your experiences below. Tell us what water sources you treated, what BTI product you used, and what your results were. Your insights help us all learn and grow together. Stay frugal, stay free.